What's going on, you guys? It's KP here, bringing you another boxing video. This will not be a prediction. Today I want to talk about something that really irks the shit out of me, especially when it comes to comment wars on YouTube or people liking or disliking your opinion when it comes to scoring a fight. There's been tons of fights that I've gotten into comment wars with people over, and I'll try to bring the most logical argument. It's not because I favor a fighter. It's because I legitimately thought that fighter won due to the set standard of rules that fights are supposed to be scored and judged by. Let's take, for example, and I told you guys I wouldn't bring this up, but I'm just going to use it as an example, the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. There's a ton of people coming out of the woodwork now saying that that fight was rigged and the scoring was off and slow motion, all this jibber jabber bullshit. Okay. Their argument is that Pacquiao landed more punches when you watch it in slow-mo. Okay. Maybe they didn't give him credit for every punch he landed, but let's go over how a fight is actually scored. There are not just one criteria, but 4 criteria that judges base their scoring off of. The first and most important one, the one that they have an emphasis on, is clean, effective punching. This means that just because you're throwing a volume of punches, say like a guy like Paul Williams or Antonio Margarito, if a lot of them aren't landing, that's not clean and effective punching, right? The clean, effective punches are like, sharp counters or just big shots that rock the other fighter. Someone that's actually landing with some kind of accuracy with the shots they're throwing and are landing meaningful shots. Think about Austin Trout versus Canelo. Trout might have been landing a lot of shots, but they were little pity-pat shots. Canelo was landing digging shots to the body and power shots upstairs. He was landing the cleaner, more effective punching. Point number 2, and the rest of these are in no particular order. Effective aggressiveness. A lot of people mistake this for bull rushing in and wanting to fight and just getting in the guy's face. That is not effective aggression. Effective aggression is when you are cutting off the ring against someone who's trying to get away from you. Marvin Hagler versus Ray Leonard in the later rounds. Watch the later rounds of that fight. Marvin Hagler actually started cutting the ring off. Just because you're coming forward doesn't mean necessarily that you are the aggressor. If that's the case, Muhammad Ali would have lost most of his fights that went to decision. Just saying. Effective aggression means that when you do attack, it's effective. It doesn't mean the guy that's just trying to barrel in. If you're barreling in head first and not doing anything after that, is that effective aggression? No, it's not. And you don't score for that. That's stupid. Point number 3, defense. Something a lot of people overlook. Guys like Pernell Whitaker got shabbed out of fights with Chavez Sr. and De La Hoya. Good God, that was a robbery. He was showing great defense, and the judges didn't score for that. That's bad on the judges' part. If I'm sitting there in front of you and you can't fucking hit me, maybe I'm not throwing as many punches as you, but I'm just sitting here clearly making you miss. Don't you think I should get points for that? For showing a different skill set other than being able to throw punches? I mean, if that was the case, the best boxers on the planet would be guys that just threw 100 punches around. That's what everybody would train to do, and that's not how you fucking box. You have to hit and not get hit. There's 2 sides to that equation, and one of them is defense. A lot of people don't score defense. We'll take, again, the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Maybe the stats were a little off, but Pacquiao was missing a lot of his shots, especially when he flurried against the ropes. He may land 1 or 2 out of 8. You got to give the defensive points to Mayweather for that round. You got to give defensive points to Pernell Whitaker for making De La Hoya, for making Chavez Sr. miss. That probably is the most overlooked point I've ever seen, is defense. And I score greatly for defense. Like when I watch a fight and I see a dude just like clowning the other guy and the other guy can't hit him, I got to give him points for that. I got to give him some credit. It's hard to do that stuff. Anybody can come in a ring and throw punches. Not everybody can make you miss. And the last point on how you score fight, the 4th point, is ring generalship. Now, this can be interpreted many ways. My interpretation of this is very simple. I ask myself, after the round, I say, which fighter would I have rather been in that round? Who was controlling the pace of the fight? Who was deciding where the fight took place in the ring? Were they fighting off the ropes out of, strategic decisions? Were they countering off the ropes? Were they trying to keep it in the center of the ring? Were they moving around? Were they coming forward? Who dictated the pace of the round, right? So I ask myself, who would I have rather been, Erislandy Lara or Canelo in that round? Erislandy Lara was showing good movement and stuff, but he wasn't executing ring generalship. He was basically running away from Canelo. That was not boxing. That was pure out galloping around the ring. He didn't do anything. He just galloped around the ring. That's not ring generalship. Some people think that just moving around the ring is ring generalship. That's not true. It's who is controlling what's going on in the fight. I'll use the Mayweather-Pacquiao example again, because this is how I score fights, guys. If you ever want to know what my thought process behind scoring is, it's not just who's landing more punches. It's other things. In Mayweather-Pacquiao, the number one thing that I thought that Pacquiao, that made him lose that fight, was the fact he couldn't effectively cut the ring off, right? At what point in that fight did he pin Mayweather against the ropes? The only time I ever saw Mayweather really go to the ropes was either by his own decision or when Pacquiao actually landed that big shot in the 4th round. The big left hand, and Mayweather went back, and shelled up. Other than that, was he sidestepping and making Mayweather go to this way and then coming back and throwing a punch? No, he wasn't doing any of that. He was coming in straight lines. That's not ring generalship. So, for the Mayweather-Pacquiao example, 3 of the 4 categories, every round, I thought Mayweather dominated. Effective aggression, Mayweather was way more accurate with his shots. Defense, come on. Ring generalship, who was controlling where that fight took place? It sure as hell wasn't Manny Pacquiao. He was getting led around like a little dog. I hate to say it about the guy, but he couldn't cut the ring off. And that is a skill that great offensive fighters have. Look at Roberto Duran, guys. You think you're going to run around like that on him? You're fucking high. Sugar Ray Leonard couldn't even do it. Just saying that, and he's a way better mover than someone like Floyd. He had way quicker legs, and he couldn't even do it. That is a skill. And if I see a guy cutting off avenues, I give him points for that. It's not who's moving around and floating around like Muhammad Ali. That's a great example of that kind of ring generalship, when he's making Sonny Liston chase him around. That's ring generalship. But he's also throwing punches and stuff too. He's not just running around. Strategic clinching. If a guy's trying to flurry on you and getting started and warmed up flurrying on you, you just grab him up, tie up an arm, and switch positions and get back to the center of the ring. That's ring generalship, guys. And everyone thinks about, they're like, oh, it's just who landed more punches. That is not the case. And that is not how good judges think. The reason those scorecards were 8-4 or 9-3 in the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight wasn't because of just the punch stats. They didn't have punch stats, guys. They're watching what's going on in the ring. They're saying to themselves, okay, who had the better defense? Who was the more effective aggressor? Who was the ring general? And who landed the cleaner, more effective punches, right? And that's how you score fights, in my opinion. A lot of guys don't understand. It's not just one criteria. It is actually 4 criteria that judges are supposed to score a fight on. And it just irks me when I get in a comment war with somebody and they don't know anything about it, and then they'll just sit there and call me a dumbass. And I'm like, dude, you're the one that doesn't even know the criteria of which a friggin' fight's scored on. I can't argue with people like that. I've been arguing. There's been a guy on this video, I can't remember his name, and he's just been arguing with me for like a week. And I'm the kind of person, I can't let shit go. It irks me. I'm going to say something back. But it's come to the point where it's like arguing with a brick wall. I'm never going to, even with the logic that I'm bringing to the discussion, I've basically been called a Mayweather nut hugger in the argument, even though I don't think Floyd is not in my top 10 all time. Manny Pacquiao sure ain't. I mean, really, honestly, Andre Ward's probably the best pure fighter in the sport right now if he actually fucking comes back. He's actually fought stiffer competition. So it's not a bias toward a fighter. It is how I score fights. You know, just like the Algieri-Provodnikov fight. Was Algieri the one moving around the ring? Sure. I thought Provodnikov won that fight. I thought he actually cut off the ring decently, especially in the early and middle rounds, and he actually came on pretty strong in the late rounds. I mean, I just don't get why guys in an argument just have to resort to calling you a dumbass when you actually bring valid points to a discussion. It's just like discussing, you know, why Ray Robinson is better than Floyd. You know, or like why Roberto Duran is better than Manny Pacquiao. In my mind, that is a fact. That is not even an opinion. That is a fact. You know, and again, it may be pointless of me to make this video because some people just are not going to listen to it. But I'm telling you guys, this is how you should score fights. Don't just think about punches landed. Think about the other three categories, because when you see a scorecard and you're like, what is that? Sometimes it is a little robbery, but most of the time it's because those judges can't just score off one criteria. They have to score for 4 criteria, and a good judge will do that. You know, have a safe weekend, guys. I'm going to end this video here. You know, drink a few beers and leave some comments. Let me know your opinion on how you score fights. And take care, guys. Peace.